or do the Christmas thing? Yeah.
Right, ladies and
I'll just,
gentlemen,
I'll just start. I'll just start the
just
podcast like
talk
this.
over it. So yeah, okay, no intro,
Yeah.
fine. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Big and Tiny Podcast. Vicky was just had a thermometer in her mouth, telling me that I asked her why, and she said, "Well, it's 40 minutes after my meal." And I was like, "That still doesn't answer the question." So, do you want to explain why you had a thermometer in your mouth 40 minutes after you ate?
Yes, it's not because I'm sick or anything like that. It's basically to determine a metabolic rate, and how things are actually going on now. I don't know if they've been following me for a while or if they haven't been or whatever, but if you have listened to my recent lives, I do talk about gauging metabolic rates, especially because of a lot of females who go through prep and they start to use different types of lipolytics and different types of drugs. And if you are natural, you everything has a side effect. We always are aware about side effects, but even dieting has a side effect, meaning that you do have a down regulation of your metabolic rate, and a down regulation of your thyroid, which is obviously your prime metabolic regulator. Now, the way that you can determine whether or not you have down regulation is body temperatures and pulse rates, which is why it's very important in order to, log and track your progressions in terms of your rate. Now, with people in prep that I have, and this doesn't go for everybody, but it does go for the majority of people, especially when it starts to come to the latter end of preps. Like I know, obviously, for you, Alex, we're now 10 weeks into prep. I've got no worry about your metabolic rate at all,
No, still get
because
hot pretty easy. Still sweat like
exactly,
mad.
it's very, very fine. It's if that we're not using any kind of lipolytics. We've done everything the old school fashioned way, which a lot of people go, "What the fuck? You haven't thrown in thyroid or clan yet?"
You mean
It's
you
weird.
mean I'm not using any drugs?
You're
That's
not using any drugs. We have done this very old school. But obviously, why the fuck am I going to start using a lot of drugs in the very first element of prep when I know that you are at your fattest, you've got the most energy, you've got the most motivation in order to get rid of the fluff. So we might as well obviously do that and then keep our drugs into the back pocket, because then we can obviously watch your body transform when we do implement drugs. So that's one of the cases. Now, getting back to the whole thyroid down regulation and metabolic rate regulation and things, when you start to diet, your metabolic rate will start to decline. It is just a side effect of dieting, whether you're going to be using drugs or thyroid drugs or anything else like that. Part of your metabolic rate is your body temperature. You should be waking with no less than a body temperature of 36.1 degrees. And that is going to be as a signal as the fact that your metabolic rate is working fine. Now, if you start waking up with low body temperatures and then doing the whole grow thing of exposing yourself to cold ice baths and cold showers and shit like that, why are you going to do that when your body temperature is already down regulated? Kind
you
of
mean
fucking stupid.
you're waking up cold and then you're making yourself colder, and then it's like your body's having to work even harder to warm yourself back up.
Exactly. Now, obviously, we don't just want to have a look at your body temperature first thing upon waking. We do also want to look at the trend over the course of the day, because your metabolism is flexible across the course of the day and it needs to respond to certain things. So, if you eat a big post-workout meal, what do you feel? You feel yourself getting hotter, you feel your heart rate going up. That is a good metabolic response. If you don't have that and you don't monitor it properly and you start to feel sluggish, especially in prep, and your body temperature goes the other way and it goes down and your pulse rate doesn't react very well, something's going on, which means that something is wrong with your metabolic rate. So, what I do is I log mine twice a week. I'm obviously coming off the back of a diet because I dieted to go to Vegas. Now, I haven't got any worries about my metabolic rate because I'm eating over 2,800 calories now, so nearly 3,000 calories anyway every day, because I have linear based intake, and I'm losing weight. So, or I'm maintaining. I kind of put on a bit of weight though yesterday, but I did have an off-plan meal, so I'm kind of not counting
It's
it.
fake,
I know.
fake
I
weight.
know it's not real weight. It's not real weight. But I've got no issues with my metabolic rate. But some of my clients, when I've, got a little bit of a head scratcher and then thinking, okay, let's do this, and they're waking up with body temperatures of like 35.5, something's going on. And the majority of the time, it's because of people going down, obviously coming off the back of preps when they've had heavy uses of clenbuterol and thyroid drugs. And then coaches just said, right, let's just rip out the thyroid and let's rip out the clen. And then they've left with no metabolism. And then things have gone wrong, and that's the reason why they're waking up with lower body temperatures. So I've actually been logging it because I'm going to do a full reel about this whole thing. I did do a live about it not so long ago, but I am going to do another reel, so it's obviously on the grid and blah blah blah, and you'll learn a bit more. So get yourself a thermometer, not one that you shove up your rectum because it's not comfortable, just one underneath your tongue.
Who's
It's
there on Amazon
absolutely
like rectal thermometer?
Yes.
Christmas wish list. Get me a bum thermometer, please. Thank you.
Santa, please.
Yeah, maybe not. Um,
Maybe not.
but no, we were going to talk about Christmas actually, weren't we? Because
We were.
it is a deadly time of year for a lot of people, especially for people who are non-bodybuilders, but people who are also bodybuilders. Like, just because you are competing in a show doesn't mean that you immediately remove all of your emotional connections to Christmas and this time of year, and what that means in terms of eating and drinking. Because
Mm,
plenty of us around December is Christmas. Like as far as most people are aware, office parties start in November. So
yeah.
you are eating everything in sight, and you are getting twatted every other day. From November onwards for a lot of people. Not for a lot, but you know what I mean. Um, it's yeah, so there's that emotional connection to Christmas which people really do have a struggle wrapping their head around. And obviously, if you're leading into a diet in Christmas, people are like, I really want to have Christmas off. And like, obviously, you want to give people Christmas off, but you have to be careful if you've got clients that you're leading into a diet. Or you possibly need to continue dieting post Christmas because you need to keep the head on the shoulders. A lot
Mm,
of people will just be like, it's Christmas Day, I'm gonna eat everything I can. And it's like gets to 3 o'clock and they're fucking passed out on the sofa and then they're trying to find even more food when they wake up. So
mm,
the binge mentality does come quite badly into Christmas. And obviously if they fuck up Christmas, they're gonna fuck up on Boxing Day too. And they'll probably continue the rest of the week because they know they're gonna go out on the 31st and they get absolutely twatted. So you'll probably have a full week off plan at that point if someone goes really bad. So
mm.
Christmas is a hard time, and as a competitor as well, if you sit there and go, "I'm not going to eat Christmas dinner. I'm just going to eat my Tupperware food," and everybody else is eating it and having a good, enjoyable communal meal together, and you're there like, "No," you sort of like section yourself off from your own family. So
Mm.
there's two very different rock and hard place there, and you need to sort of go down the middle a bit with it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if we have a look at the general population clientele, because I know that a lot of Gen Pop clients, or even, like the fun gym goers, the non-competitors, they come to us as well for coaching and various other bits like that. I think one of the problems that society has kind of led us into is that the second it hits the 1st of December, that's it, it's Christmas. We're getting the Christmas decks up, the tree goes up, the mince pies are on the shelf. And it's funny because I had a question, opened up my Q&As and things like that this morning, which I do need to get back to. I've been busy. But one of the questions was, what's your favorite festive food? And it's like, do you know what? I don't actually have them. But for the majority of people do have favorite festive foods. And a lot of them are things like mince pies, Yule logs, all of the things that basically we are restricted against between the months of February and obviously December 1st, because it's just not available. You do not see mince pies readily available on the stacks of on the stacks of Tesco's every single month, apart from, end of November, beginning of December. So all of a
I
sudden this,
saw a thing which was a lot of the Christmas food that we get is prepared like 10 months previously.
oh
Just
God, yeah,
sat
yeah, yeah,
around
yeah.
frozen waiting. You're there like, ew.
I know, yeah. But this is
Ooh.
basically why so many people have got a lot of inflammatory problems in terms of their gut, because we're eating ultra processed food that has been stuck in storage facilities for such a long time, and they have to
Fuck,
have stabilizers and various other bits to obviously keep their shelf life for a long time,
look at
you
Senna.
know.
He's fucked. He's fat as shit.
But he eats mince pies,
Low as
but
hell. He's not getting on stage anytime soon.
well, indeed. But I think this is a lot to do with the whole restriction mentality. And you've seen it all across like the social media by things saying, don't restrict, have little bits of what you want every single day, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to, which I don't disagree with, do you know what I mean? I've got a client who is addicted to Biscoff and she will literally eat jars of Biscoff. Now, when I put
It's
design
such a
her,
fucking wank product. I'm
it's
sorry.
a
People who are
it's a
like,
waste of
this stuff's amazing, and they're like, be a drier person. Come on, fuck Biscoff. There are better things.
now the thing is, I mean, and everybody has different tastes, don't they? But she is addicted to,
Obviously, but like, I can still be like, you're a dry person,
yeah, indeed.
you know.
But when I designed her meal plan, she's got a couple of things that we obviously need to sort out in terms of cholesterol levels, and certain other bits. We
Fucking Biscoff.
don't. I wonder why. But if I was to obviously remove Biscoff from her plan altogether, it's just going to basically be saying to a kid like, "Don't draw on the walls," and giving them a
It's the
crayon.
card out of the, out of the House of Cards as such.
Exactly. Exactly. So we literally just have like, a small allocation of Biscoff every single day. But because of that, she's now not binging on it. Because it's not restrictive, it is still there. So I do totally understand that aspect of things. But when it comes to Christmas, as a society, we are restricted from these specific foods. You're not going to find mince pies, you're not going to find Yule logs, or anything like that. But God forbid, eat turkey outside of Christmas. You're
Yeah.
a fucking weirdo. So it's just that again, it surprises me from that. I mean, I eat parsnips and carrots and turkey and all the rest of it and roast potatoes because I roast mine in the air fryer because they're bangers. But I eat all of that kind of stuff all year round anyway. And if you think about it, Christmas realistically is one day.
It's a
You know,
roast dinner.
you
It's just a roast
it's
dinner.
it's a roast dinner. You don't have to just like get up. If you want to get up in the morning and have your Terry's chocolate orange that you had in your stocking, fine. Do that for breakfast. I don't really give a shit. Do it if you want.
Fucking
But
hate.
I know it's not my favorite either.
Right.
But if you realistically break it all down, Christmas Day is one day where you just get to be present with your family and you just get to enjoy it. If you want to be the hardcore bro bodybuilder and eat your turkey out of a Tupperware, do it. If you don't and you want to have a day off, do it. It really doesn't matter. But I think people these days, especially Gen Pop clients, they get so frightened when it comes into the month of December that they're just going to turn into a big fat whale, throughout Christmas. It's like, but if you think about it, it's one day. You're still going to be working all the way up until about, the 23rd.
It's not one day though, is it? Because
Well, it is one
their
day.
mentality no, but their mentality is if I don't stick to the diet for one day, then the whole diet's ruined, and I may as well just sack it off.
Mm.
And that's what happens. Like so, Thanksgiving was recently as well, and I've got quite a few Gen Pop American clients. They're
Mm.
fucking morons, honestly. I had a couple of guys who were out partying 4 days in a row, and they were like, "Oh, was I not meant to do that?" I was like,
Mm.
no. And then a few other guys were like, "Oh, I had so many different family things." I'm like, "Well, you've got another one of those next month, so we're going to have the same thing happen again." Like
Mm.
it's just one of those like you need to have an understanding of management, and
Yeah.
there is sort of like yes, you can get away with having a meal off plan out. Maybe if you've got 5 meals a day, you can have three of them and then take two out and then have something different. And you can do that. It's not going to be as effective. You might have some issues. You might start feeling more hungry if you are on, say, a restriction, so a diet plan rather than gaining weight. And yeah, there's going to be a few sort of things that's going to get thrown up from that. Granted, you need to have a bit of a life, but like not every you don't need a sweet treat every day just because you
Mm.
want
Yeah.
one. And you see it a lot with people who are like they're trying to move away from bodybuilding because they may have had a hard time with bodybuilding, or they did well, they competed for a certain number of years, and then they went, "Oh, all of my hormones are fucked through
Yeah, well,
whatever
to be
fault of
fair though,
whoever."
that's poor management of prep though.
Yeah,
That
but
is poor
then it
management of
becomes
prep.
bodybuilding's evil.
Oh yeah, totally. If you do you know what that really pisses me off? It fucking grinds my gears because it's like you were a competitive bodybuilder and you lived the life that and you spouted about it on your social media for a very, 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 very fucking long time. And now because you've obviously decided to step away from bodybuilding because poor image crisis and blah blah blah. Bullshit. I'm sorry. Your image crisis is still there. You can see it even now when you're talking about
Yeah,
it that you obviously have eating disorder issues. You just don't want to admit it because you're like, I'm accepting my body in all areas. Well,
they
why
had
the
they
fuck
had
you
they
restrict so
had the
much more
eating
sugar?
disorder when they started bodybuilding, and they thought the
Mm,
bodybuilding would fix it, but they just kept it and just exchanged one look for another. So
yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not like ripping on people that have eating disorders. They're horrible things to deal with. It's really hard, but
Mm,
just because you had a bad time with bodybuilding, didn't become a pro, or struggled or whatever it was, doesn't mean that bodybuilding is suddenly evil. Yes, the certain ways that some people are coached will fuck them up, but they have to sort
mm.
of sit back and recognize. But they think if that's the only way you can do a prep is to just get like your health destroyed. Um,
And this is where the issue is. I had a question come through actually saying, do you believe that bodybuilding is unhealthy? And I'm just like, well, actually, it's if you're going to be using performance enhancing drugs and you're obviously going to be dieting down to low levels of body fat, then realistically, by that description alone, no, it's not healthy. But can you make bodybuilding healthier? Yes, I've
especially
proved
for
it every
especially
single
for
time I've put somebody on
general
stage.
pop, especially for general population clients.
Yeah, 100%.
Bodybuilding is an incredibly healthy pursuit because you don't have to get fucking peeled out your brain. You can sustain a reasonable level of low body fat and be healthy, eat a lot of food, train really fucking hard, and be a healthy person. Just but obviously when it comes to the prep end of things, and obviously you are super dieted down, yeah, you're not going to be as healthy as you would be if you had a higher level of body fat. But in terms of what you're saying within drug use, you don't have to abuse androgens in order to be a bodybuilder. But many people think, unless you're on 3 grams, you're not a pro.
I
And
mean, we've proved it though with yours because everybody said that we were lying about your drug use, and that's why when you sent me over your bloods, I said fucking post them because that will show absolutely everybody that we weren't bloody lying about your drugs. And this is the point: people can't believe it,
you
but
then get people go, oh, you then get people go, he's edited his bloods. And do you want to know how I know that people say that you've edited your bloods? Because they fucking do it. I know
it's
people that
ridiculous.
I know people that edit their bloods and send them to their coach anyway.
Now you see, that's just
Yeah, it's
stupid.
moronic. Like it's fucking stupid. We all
It
know
is
it.
stupid. If I had anybody that did that on my team, I would literally cut them straight away. If I found out, and um, Oliver is a graphic designer, he knows how all of these things look, so he can see if something's been doctored. And if he ever picks up on something like that, I would literally cut them from my team because somebody who lies about their bloods, one is playing with fire because it's fucking dangerous. Because I will allocate a cycle for a specific reason, for a specific duration of time based on blood work that I receive before we start a cycle. And then when we go on cycle, I don't know if anybody saw my post actually, because I work closely with TMS, so Thomas Medical Services, and I've put together specific panels that they're all the markers that I want to see. Prior to a cycle, we've designed a blood test that you can have, which is obviously a much cheaper option that you can have whilst you are on cycle. Because again, we don't just look before and after. I want to see what that drug is doing to your insides whilst you are on cycle, because then I can put things in place to ensure that things are obviously in a good position being managed. Hence the reason why we can make prep healthier. So again, people complain that bloods are expensive. Yes, they fucking are,
Being on
but
gear is
it's your
expensive.
health. So that's the reason why when I spoke to Chantel, owner of TMS, I said I wanted a panel design that I can look at all of these markers, but I want to make it as cheap as possible. So people are not going to decline the fact that we have an interim OCS. An on-cycle panel, basically. So we've done that one. So we get bloods prior, whilst they're on, and then whilst we go afterwards. But that's how we can manage and manipulate things and make bodybuilding healthy. This was when you got your pro card, that was the healthiest prep that you ever went through. And it's because we managed things absolutely appropriately. Yes, you had to diet. Boo-hoo. That's what all fucking bodybuilders do. But you still had refeeds. You still had meals off plan. We still had deloads. We still had devolumes. We still took cardio out. You still got peeled out of your fucking mind and you still look dry, hard, and full.
I had 0 meals off plan. But
Did you? Did you?
yeah, none, absolutely none. Went straight down. On show day, maybe because we had to get some food in me on the day, but that was it.
Are
Zero
you
off
sure
plan.
I can?
No,
Mm.
you're wrong.
Okay, sorry. Well, obviously we had big refeeds and things like that. We had high days
Yes,
and various other bits. So
yes, they were nice.
yeah, that's another thing that we should probably actually itemize. Off plans are different to refeeds. Off
Yes.
plans are a meal, basically like your Christmas day. Have Christmas day off plan, off track, just sit and enjoy. Refeeds are structured. So basically, we increase specific amounts of food, specific types of food at specific times of the day. That is a refeed. Do not get the two confused.
What we do, the general consensus for a refeed these days is like, your normal food plus fucking 50 grams of carbs per meal, then add a squares bar a meal, and then on your 2 refeed days that you'll probably get, one of them, the last meal is a Five Guys, and the next one is a clean day. And yeah, it's bullshit. But
Five
it
guys.
works, bro. It's like it'll stop working, and all you'll do is just accumulate water, and you won't get peeled. And then you've got
Yeah.
guys with fuckloads of muscle. I mean, dudes that are fucking huge, and they're there like, why haven't I won a pro card? And they've been trying for 5 to 10 years, and they just can't get in condition because they're eating like a fucking moron, but they don't see it. They're like, oh, but I've got to get in the calorie dense foods, otherwise it won't. I can't fill out. It's like you can't fill out because you're eating bullshit.
I know. I've got over a 300 pound bodybuilder on my books, and I literally just manipulated and managed his diet. And he only actually managed to implement the changes yesterday. So, and it was his diet first of all that he obviously put together. I was like, I'm going to take over your diet because I know that this can obviously be better for you. So obviously took over his diet, did everything for him, put certain things in place. He had 2 meals off his plan in the morning and then had 4 meals off my plan for the later on in the afternoon. Checked in this morning. He's like, I've dropped 4 pounds and I feel like my stomach is flat and I can vacuum. Metabolism, bro. And what do you think was the one thing that I did? Major.
You have to give me a clue. There's so many things you can do.
Oh no, this one thing that everybody does and everybody questions you about.
Me, drop
Mm.
protein.
Yeah, drop protein.
Yeah.
Drop protein by about 80 grams.
Mm.
And then whacked up carbs, whacked up fats. And then
And those
obviously you,
first 2 meals would have been a shitload of protein as well, wouldn't they?
yeah,
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 so
yeah.
it would be if you'd followed a full plan, it would have been 120 less than normal.
Yeah, probably something like that.
Yeah. Well, the guys who are 300 pounds, they think they need 400 or 500 grams of protein to just build a bit of muscle. It's like, nah, all you're doing, you wonder why your stomach's getting bigger every year. You know,
Well,
I
this is
see it with
it.
you see it with guys now who are small amateurs, and they look like Coke bottles. You know,
Mm,
they're thick in the middle. They got big legs, thick in the middle, nothing upstairs, because they've been
mm,
doing a push pull legs all fucking life. Because they want to put
mm.
on mass, bro. Want to get big quick, bro. It's like, yeah, you'll put on weight. You won't put on make a good physique. And
Yeah,
they've got this fucking ever distending stomach, and they're there like, oh, it'll come in when I diet, bro. It's like you'll
yeah,
be eating more protein on your diet because you think you need it for satiation. I love that
yeah.
point. Protein's more satiating. No, it is fucking not. It is more bloating. It's like, yeah, oh, I don't feel hungry. Yeah, because you're fucking bloated all the time. You're walking around with a gorilla stomach. Like,
Yeah,
it's so stupid. It's like, oh, but it makes me feel less hungry. It's like, yeah, well, funny enough, when you are bloated, you don't feel hungry, mate. Like, just
no,
because you
exactly.
don't feel hungry doesn't mean you somehow hacked dieting. You just made yourself look shit. You know? Like, oh, well, I don't have abs on stage because I've got really bad ab genetics. Shut the fuck up. Nobody has
Yeah.
bad ab genetics. You just don't train them. You can't contract them because you're always fucking bloated.
And you can't vacuum, and actually work your TVA.
Yeah,
Nobody can
and training
vacuum.
abs, it hurts a lot. It's really hard. You can't breathe. Like, it's
Yeah.
not easy. It's not like, oh, I'll just go on a hack squat and bang out some reps. Like, if anything, having got relatively good at training legs now, it's actually one of the easiest sessions you can do
Mm,
because it doesn't require too much in the way of thought. You just whack on the plates and you just crack on. If you're, neurally connected to the movement and you feel fine, you haven't got too much in the way of pain, you can just lift the big weights and it's more fun because people love
yes.
big movements. Everyone's bored of leg extensions because they're dull. But then you get on your hack squat, you get on your leg press, you've got like, fuck, I've got 400 kilos on a leg press. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, mate, because like it's lots of weights, but there's a reason your legs are way too fucking big and you've got no biceps.
Yes. Because you don't
Everybody
let
these it's full flipped. Being a bro now is just having giant legs and then no arms.
Yeah, I have seen that one. All lats, bad
Oh yeah,
connection.
no lats at all, no back. Just all
Yeah, yeah.
because that's because everybody fucking they do their rows like this now.
Yeah, the chicken jock, the chicken jock. I always say I've seen this so many times when people send me videos, and I'm just like, "What's your chicken jock, mate?"
Well, it's
Your
really
head's obviously moving more than your back is.
it's super easy to grow traps because you just throw your arms back and squeeze. It's really hard
Yeah.
to actually get lats because you've got to consider the elbow pad. You've got to actually drag the weight into position and feel the lat. It's really difficult. They're a very hard movement for a lot of people to feel. But these guys who are throwing, shitloads of weight around on their leg exercises, they think, oh, well, I can hack squat 6 plates, so I must be able to row 4. And you're like,
But if you have a look
no.
at the people, no, if you have a look at the people who are hack squatting as well, we kind of veered off the whole Christmas subject, which is
It's
hilarious.
gone. We've
Um,
moved ADHD.
it's gone. We've
Oh,
moved
no.
on. But I think people do get kind of up into their own head with training and stuff like that as well. Like, especially for people who want to grow a specific body part. So I've got wellness girls on my books, and they have tried. Well, you always hear it, don't you? I've tried everything to grow my glutes. Yes, I know. I've heard this as well. When was the last time that you actually had a rep range between 2 and 5? Never. Well, haven't tried everything then, have you? So it's doing different things, but people I think do get into their own head in terms of like how to train, how to execute certain movements. Am I feeling this? Am I feeling that? But then you see bros who are putting like 6 plates on a hack squat, not hitting depth, bouncing off the pins. They're pushing through their toes, so the heels are coming off. So and then they're complaining about janky knees and shit. Um,
Seen some people who do the push through the ball of the foot thing and they do it really fucking well. and they don't use
Mm.
weight. That is legitimate training.
Yeah,
That's it's
that's Tom
really
Platz training.
yeah, it's really fucking hard. You can't
Mm.
put a lot of weight. When I see guys who've got like, as you say, 5, 6 plates on a hack and they're bouncing out of the hole and they're on the balls of their feet and they're using their Achilles, it's an accident waiting to happen, and you might get stronger, and you might be there like, my knees feel fine. There'll be a day when you fuck it up with a load of weight, and all it takes is that one rep,
Yeah.
and it is playing with fire. Like you might get bigger quads from it, and that's all fine and dandy, but the amount of pressure you're putting through your meniscus tissue and your Achilles, you want to be careful because
Mm.
how much is 7 plates? Fucking 280 kilos. And is that my brain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
you're
that's correct. That's a lot of weight to be moving around through tendon because that's what you're doing. I know you might, oh, get really good structure in the quad. Yeah, you're also getting a lot of fucking pressure through the rest of you. So
right. Yeah.
I would say, look, if it's working for you, fantastic. But please be careful because one day, it will be when you're not even in the gym. You might slip and fall, and then your knee will just go, ah, bye.
Oh yeah, that
Hey,
happens a lot. That happens a lot. Bodybuilders who literally tear quads off their knees, just
it's the
stepping
day
out of the
after, isn't
pool.
it's the day after you've done that work. Your
Mm,
tendons and your ligaments, all your connective tissue is screaming at you, and then
mm,
you're stiff as a board. You go and do something which is slightly out of the norm, like step off a porch, and your knee
mm,
goes bye.
and
And
then it's
they're like,
screwed.
what could that be? It's like, it's the way you train. It always
Yeah.
comes down to, if you get an injury, unless it's a freak accident, it's usually to do with the way you've been training.
Which is basically like being an arsehole in terms of training. But there are so many different methodologies, and it's just about trying to find the best one for you. But setups are really, really important, especially when it comes down to moving heavy weight. And especially if you are a big, heavy guy as well, because don't forget, you're not just moving the weight that you're putting on the machine, you're
Good
actually
stuff.
having to move your own body weight as well. And with every, I think that there was a thing that came up in terms of like a scientific review, in terms about knee pressure. And for every 10 pounds that you lose something along the lines of like 100 pounds of pressure off your knees for every 10 pounds of body weight that you lose. Now, if you think that if you're a 300-pound bodybuilder, you lose 10 pounds of that, that's 290 pounds now. You've taken off 100 pound of pressure off your knees, but then you're still trying to push more weight on a hack squat or doing barbell squats as well. You're accumulating that pressure over time. So you're still actually going to be loading your knees, your tendons, your joints, your ligaments with that additional pressure because you're still trying to push the weight to hold on to the tissue, bro. And let me tell you this, it is so fucking difficult to atrophy muscle tissue. Like so difficult to lose
Yeah.
muscle tissue.
And then you have to stop
People,
training. You like, it's when the guys who come up, like they retire and they're there like, I want to be 200 pounds. Like, you weigh 300 right now. Unless
yeah,
you have rhabdomyolysis for like a month, that's not happening.
it's
Like,
not, but people worry about losing muscle on prep. The way that I have seen people lose muscle on prep is because they abuse thyroid drugs.
yes.
Because thyroid drugs rip through everything, including your muscle tissue. Okay. So that is basically why you lose muscle tissue on prep. I have been actively trying to lose muscle tissue for the last, what, 14, 15 months, maybe a bit more than
What?
that.
What's your body?
Possibly, yeah, but all of my upper body, I've been trying to lose it. My shoulders are still jacked. They're still jacked. They're
Yeah,
still
you
full.
haven't trained. Well, you just 4 leg days a week, aren't you?
Full like those, yeah. Because I can't train upper body because this is my range of motion. And because of all of like the wiring that's kind of holding my chest together.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I have metal wires everywhere that are kind of from my sternum to my rib cage on both sides. And because of that, this is my range of motion. I can't go any higher than that. And I mean, I can reach forward. That one's not too bad, but
You
obviously
train
reaching
back.
back, that's range of motion.
You can do
Can't do
back and
that.
arms.
I can do what?
You can do back and arms, and that's it.
No, because I can't obviously fully contract my back.
Oh, you can do delts and arms, and that's it.
I can do delts and arms, but I can only do lateral raises.
But,
Lateral raises, a couple of bicep curls,
the
and a
number of
tilt.
people is like, oh, you want big shoulders? Just do lateral raises. Don't need presses. Like, shut the fuck up.
Dude, I'm not being funny. Look at my fucking pumpkin. It's still here. It's still jacked.
Yeah, but that's because you had it anyway. As we're saying,
I
it's
know
like loose muscle.
exactly,
You already got
exactly.
it.
And I don't train upper body because I fucking can't. And yet, I'm still not losing it. But it's because muscle tissue is expensive to keep onto your body. But once it is there, it is there. But once you lose or start atrophying muscle tissue, the only reason why you're going to be doing it is one, if you abuse thyroid drugs, obviously we know that one. But two, if you've got an injury and you are immobilized, so say for example, you break your femur and you are immobilized in a cast, you are going to lose muscle tissue whilst you are within that cast because it is immobile.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're not
But
actually going
surgery,
to.
anything extreme like that, yeah, of course, your muscle's going to go down, bang, instant muscle wastage, goodbye.
Hmm.
So yeah,
It'll come back.
uh,
It'll come back.
yeah,
You've got to train it unilaterally at the end of the day.
yeah. It obviously like is dependent because, well, one good example is Missy Truscott, who just tore an ACL at the last Olympia and then came back and won this
Yeah.
Olympia, and obviously, rehabbing knees like that, extremely, having done it myself,
Yeah.
extremely painful, very difficult to get to work, and you have to be smart with how you train. But yeah, like I've seen, guys who fix pec tears. It doesn't take them very long. Depends how extreme the pec tear is. Uh,
Mm.
Bicep tears, similar story. Again, it depends on the severity. But
Yeah.
yeah, generally, if you're a normal, healthy person, trying to lose muscle is really difficult. So when you have guys being like, well, if I don't hack the normal 6 plates I do, and I instead go down to 3.5 and use proper tempo and get proper form, then I'll lose muscle. It's like, nah, you've just increased the amount of stimulus you're actually able to put through the muscle rather than just your joint. And
Mm.
that will actually allow you to continue to progress upwards because you found your new base level.
Yes.
Yeah, what people don't understand, they just think more weight, more stimulus, when actually more weight equals more chances of problems.
Yeah, exactly. You should realistically go through phases as well. I'm not talking for like, the innate bodybuilder like yourself. But especially in terms of like Gen Pop, I would say, in terms of programming and changes with that, obviously if you're going to go into a program and they've only ever trained in the what I like to call the hypertrophy rep range because that's the
8 to
buzzword.
12, baby.
Yeah, exactly. The 8 to 12 rep range, and that's all they've ever
Exactly, 8 to 12.
done. What about your endurance type training? What about your strength type training? There's so many different variables that you can manipulate. And I get it a lot with women who come to me saying, I want glutes that follow me into the room. And it's like, fabulous. Okay. And you've only actually ever done 8 to 12 reps and then 12 to 15 reps at. I
Never
mean, one.
deadlift. Don't deadlift ever.
Oh
Kickbacks.
no,
All
some of them,
deadlift.
some of them will deadlift,
Mm,
but the majority of them will do a hip hinge terribly wrong.
yes.
None of them will do unilateral work unless it is a unilateral kickback, and even then they're obviously rotating at the hips, and the pelvis isn't in line with the spine, and then everything's wrong, so they're working their back rather than actually working their glutes. And they'll do like 3 full leg days a week, and then wonder why they're so fucked, because they're unable to actually
Do
recover
the
from
same
things.
leg day 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, but they're
Yeah.
only still doing like, 8 to 12 reps and then 12 to 15 reps, so one top set, one back off set, when realistically 8 to 12 and 12 to 15 is still kind of the same kind of hypertrophy rep range.
Where have gone of the days of where it was like 5 sets? Go
I
to
know,
gym
yeah.
everything. Well, obviously, that's fucking stupid, and that's the reason they've gone. But like, I preferred that mentality, which was you are never good enough. Do more.
Do more, but unfortunately, the do more is not better.
No, I
It's
know, but now it's gone
always
to
pulling
do as
back.
little as possible. It's like do as lit
Oh,
as
I
the
know.
least amount you can get away with. Don't want to induce too much fatigue. It's like,
Okay, come on. Yeah, training is supposed to be fatiguing. It is
well,
supposed to
otherwise
be.
you won't grow from it. Like if it doesn't hurt, it doesn't cause a problem, then the body has
No,
no reason to develop a solution. You know?
exactly.
Why do
Exactly.
you wait until the last minute to do your fucking homework? Because you've got to develop the proper solution now. If
Yeah,
you've got
this is
no
it.
impetus, you'll just never do anything.
But people just they don't get it. And then the other type of programming that I find really funny is the accumulation of sets across a mesocycle.
Oh, I
Fucking
fucking hate
mesocycles.
mesocycle. It's like, so you're planning on fucking me up in the space of 3 weeks. That
I
sounds
know,
really clever.
I know. Start with 2 sets, then go to three, then go to four, then go to five, and then do balls out 6, and
As
then we'll
well,
load.
none of those guys
What?
are good bodybuilders. Absolutely
No,
none of them.
no, I
And they'll
know.
be like, "Oh, but Jared from Renaissance Periodization." It's like Jared is an all right bodybuilder, but it doesn't get properly peeled. I've never
Mm,
seen him get actually fucking shredded, glute to the bone sort of thing. Actually, but that's why he doesn't win. Sadly,
mm.
he's still very good, but it's just that last little bit, and it's probably because he's too fucked or something related to diet. Anyway, I wouldn't be out there fucking like trying to. They over plan everything. It's like
Yeah.
fucking hell. You can't micromanage each individual fucking speck of dust that's going to fall on you when you do a set. You know,
I
like
don't know why people are planning out like these full meso cycles and then saying, right now we're going to have a deload. It's like, well, there you're going to have a deload because you're basically fucked because you're doing 6 sets of a fucking leg press, anywhere between 12 and 15 reps, which is just bloody stupid. But why are we all of a sudden just kind of going, right, that's when you're going to have a deload? It's like, well, actually, you want to get to the point of near enough overreaching before you obviously do this. You might not get to that point of doing it in 6 weeks' time. So if we take away like the accumulative volume type of thing, these people are literally just kind of go, right, we're going to have a deload here and a deload there. It's like, I'm absolutely fucking fine right now. Why am I taking my foot off the gas right now? I'm not at that point where I've accumulated that much fatigue just yet where I need one. So I will always react. So like, say, for example, with you, you message me and you're like, feeling a bit fucked today. It's like, okay, cool. Go in and do your next 2 sessions. Let me know how you feel. We're either going to adjust volume or we're going to take a couple of days off the gym. The first point of call is going to adjust volume. So obviously bringing down some sets or, changing out one of your top sets and just putting in your intensifier or whatever. And then if you're still obviously fucked after we reduce the volume, especially if you've only been training for like 4 weeks or something, which I know you don't do anyway, but reduce the volume. And then if you're still fucked after that, it's like, cool, for the 3 days off the gym then, and then we'll have 3D volume sessions and then we'll go back and it's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
So
Well,
reacting to the problem rather than
yeah.
anticipating it is better.
I think people think there's somehow this like mathematical formula for becoming Mr. Olympia. It's like if there was, then everybody would be doing it, wouldn't they? It's a
Yeah.
case of look, you need to be able to listen to your own body and respond to what it's saying, and obviously like
Mhm.
being able to understand your body. It does speak in a different language, and you've got to be able to learn it over time. So it is a case of you do need to sort of like crack on with something, see if it does work or not, and then make changes. And this is where people are there like, I want to be told everything that I need to do because I don't want to put in the time to learn how to like what everything is and then how to change it. I don't want to have to like have that experience. I want to borrow somebody else's experience so that I know exactly so I can be perfection or from day one I can be perfect. Doesn't work like that.
Yeah, that doesn't happen like that, unfortunately.
No, you
But
have to be willing to be the idiot. You have to be willing to be useless at something in order to get good at it.
oh God, yeah, totally. And another thing that I found is, this is the one with for general population, not necessarily with bodybuilders, but as in like competitors, but just for the gen pops. The ones that don't make the most progress are because they say that they're bored.
I
And
never have
bored,
ones going on board.
no, for training.
No, I never have going on board. I have the ones that just don't. They are so reluctant to change their routine from what they were doing. They just want
Mm,
to go. Oh, well, I was better than last time. It's like it's a threshold. You meet a threshold. You don't have a slight percentage better, which means you're suddenly gonna see results. You won't see any fucking results. You are this
mm,
far. You are this far off the threshold. It's up here. You are down here, and you've gone to there. This is
yeah.
where the changes occur because then I can start making changes to the plan. If you're still here, I can't do anything. So I'm gonna wait until you reach the standard, mate.
Yeah,
And
I get a lot of people who said like Gen Pop clients and stuff. I don't personally work with Gen Pop anymore unless they're like a health-based client. But in the past, I've had general population who have literally just said, "Oh, I've been on the same cycle now for 4 weeks, and I'm kind of bored. So can we switch up the exercise?" I'm like, no, because boredom is what is actually holding you back. You need to
yeah,
be able to
that's just
go back.
understanding that you need to stick with an exercise for a really long period of time.
Yeah, it does, and I don't mind making manipulations to certain exercise orders or, rep ranges or whatever like that. But if somebody has never trained in like a strength phase before, like I was talking about with the girls wanting to train glutes and they've never ever lifted between 3 and 5 reps, it's like, I want you to get really fucking strong. Now, don't get me wrong, a strength phase might be only, 3, 4 weeks.
Yeah,
A hypertrophy range might be 12 to 20 weeks. And an endurance phase might be 2 to 3 weeks again. But actually having those phases built in, there's no way that you can do strength, hypertrophy, and endurance all in one session. It just can't fucking happen. So the people who do a 3 to 5 on a barbell back squat, then we'll do like your 12 to 15s on your leg press, your isolations, and blah blah, and then you'll do like 20 to 25 to 30 reps on a fucking kickback. You can't do that. You'll be fucked. So run it in terms of
well, this is
phases.
where people go. I can be a power builder, and you're there
No,
like, there's
don't do
a
that.
reason you look like shit.
Yeah, you can't do that kind of thing. If you ran it in phases, it would be different. Some of my most amazing bodybuilders now, and they are my females, come from a powerlifting background because all they were lifting was heavy reps. 5 was their top amount of reps that they were doing for a training session. Then all of a sudden, I pushed them into a hypertrophy rep range, and they're like, "Holy fuck! My muscles are burning." It's like, yeah, because you've never actually pushed them through. And now we're going to run this one. Now we're just going to put into a bit of an endurance block where you're going to be doing 25 to 30 rep ranges. For like I said, with those people, I'm just thinking of one example that I've got, but realistically, 2 weeks worth. 2 weeks worth of an endurance aspect before we go into a strength and hypertrophy. So we'll be using 6 to 9s, and then obviously doing other things like, your 10 to 12, 12 to 15, whatever. But to actually build that base and get really fucking strong, that's where women are afraid. Like I cut one of my
It is
clients.
scary. The
Well,
lifting
it's
that heavy
yeah,
is
but why?
scary.
But why is it scary? Why should it be
Because
scary?
everybody,
So,
the usual thing is bodybuilders don't go below 6 reps because of the fatigue and the injury risk. And the thing is, can you actually call yourself a bodybuilder if you just started training like one? No,
mm,
you can't. You're just training in that manner. You aren't a bodybuilder. So
no.
you need a lot of muscle and you need to be pursuing the competitive goal of becoming a bodybuilder or a powerlifter, whatever it is. You need to have that aspect of you're engaging in the sport to call yourself that thing. I
Mm.
drive a car, I'm not a racing driver. So
I
yeah,
have fuel in mine. I'm
think
not a mechanic.
exactly. So, it's that same thing of, well, when you first start out training, don't pigeonhole yourself. Try stuff. I'm not saying go in and do 1 rep maxes like some fucking morons do every fucking session, but you
No.
should at least try and progress certain rep ranges. Me personally, I haven't done super low rep ranges like that in fucking years. Because it's not useful for me. And with how strong I am at certain exercises, it would just be quite dangerous. And I don't really
Yes.
want to risk it. So
And there's no point for you to do that at the moment. And plus, you're in prep. You have a
not at the
specific.
moment.
Not at the moment, no. And there's no point in terms of doing that. Like I've got another bodybuilder, we've got him in a strength phase at the moment. He's doing between 3 and 5 reps, and he's going to be doing that one because at the bottom line is I want him to get really fucking strong. He needs to be really fucking strong, and he is getting very fucking strong, and it's working in terms of obviously coming off the back of prep and reigniting his flame into the gym, so to speak. But I cut one of my clients from the team the other day because she kept on sending me videos, and every single time I was giving her feedback. I spent a long time giving video feedback to my clients,
We
right?
all do. It takes fucking ages.
Exactly, right. Do you remember that road trip that we had? I can't remember where we went, whether it was Birmingham or wherever like that.
You're on your
But
phone
for
the whole time.
the whole fucking time giving video feedback. It was like a 2 hour drive, and we normally chat shit and all the rest of it, but the whole fucking time I was on my phone replying to video feedback, and they're always detailed. And all of this video feedback that I was giving to this girl, she did not listen to a damn thing. And I was like, you have got to push these reps. These reps are not doing fucking anything. It's like you're playing with a butterfly at this point. It's not even fun. And she goes, "Oh yeah, I know. It's because I shit myself." And I'm like, "What the fuck do you expect me to do with this? You're saying that you're going to shit yourself in something that will literally not crush you in any stretch of the imagination whatsoever. You've got pins there for a reason."
Mm.
Oh yeah, but it's scary. Okay, well, you know what? I'm not going to obviously deal with this because I've been trying to do it for you, and I've been trying to get your mindset right for the last 8 months. There's only so much that I can tell you. You are the one that literally has to fail. I want you to fail
Yeah,
and fail to fail and
yeah.
fail
It,
because
it,
then you
it
won't be.
takes that. You have to have a set which does attempt to crush you in a machine, and then you realize that you're not going to die when it happens. Like I regularly let it happen to myself on hacks and deadlifts because not deadlifts on leg press because I have the range of motion. So if I want to be like one session be like I can't get another actual rep out, but I know I can do this negative, so I just let the negative sort of take me. And you've done it. You've properly taken the set to failure. And for a lot of people, they've never done it because it's scary and it's embarrassing. They're in the gym like, oh, everybody thinks like me. All it's like you're supposed to do that.
Yeah, it,
It's that's why arms are a piece of piss to grow because you can do it and like the weight just doesn't move anymore.
no,
And
exactly.
this is what I've seen, especially in general pop. A lot of people train up to a pain barrier and then they go, that hurts now. I think I'll stop. I shouldn't do
Yeah,
anymore because it hurts. It's like, no, 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 no. Very big difference in between muscular pain versus potential injury pain.
Mm.
And you would know the difference. One is achy and it feels like fatigue and you can't lift the bar as much. And the other one is instant sharp ouch.
Yes,
But
exactly.
even then, I get guys who are like, "Oh, I felt my knee on that set, so I stopped it." It's like, mate, I feel my knees on every fucking set.
Yeah.
Like, you
I
have
feel
to
my hips.
adjust your feet, like get through
Exactly.
it, you know. And this is the thing: is people don't have this. A lot of people who aren't sportsmen, they don't have the understanding of yes, sports are hard. Even if you've done fucking manual labor, you'll have days where your back is fucking killing you, and you're there like, yeah,
Hmm.
I still have to work.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Still
don't
got to
just
go
sit out
through
and be
it.
like, I can't do anything today. I'm just going to sit here the whole time. Like,
Yeah, feeling my back just a little bit today, boss. Sorry.
exactly. So that is the thing of like people with their training, they're not willing to spend the time to understand the nuance of what is the right thing to do, how hard can they push things, how hard should they be pushing things. And this is why I actually quite like working with a lot of teenage lads, the younger guys, because they fucking go for it.
Oh
They're
yeah, they're
like,
psycho.
yeah, well, this is the thing where teenagers make the best soldiers.
Mm.
Because you can indoctrinate them, they go mental. But it's one of those where like those are the guys that generally train the hardest, not because they're young, but because they're driven and they go, I really want this. And the old
And
guys in
it's
their
because they're
30s
not
are like,
afraid.
yeah, and the old guys in their
Yeah.
30s are like, oh, my back's stiff. Like that. Oh, the majority of guys I have in their 30s and plus that come to me are they're like, oh, I don't really do deadlifts because my lower back hurts. And I'm there like, do
You
you
don't
sit in
with
an office
them.
chair all day? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's because you've got a weak as fuck core and no lower back. And funnily enough, your glutes and hamstrings are tight as fuck. I always
Or
get
you've got
guys
no
who,
glutes.
yeah, well, then I'm like, do you stretch? Does anybody fucking stretch? Somebody must have said at some point, stretching's useless. It's like, no, it's not. It's
No, no.
really beneficial. And it's like, oh, but it's, just because a study couldn't prove it. It's like, yeah, it's anecdotal, funnily enough. You are the one that feels the pain, so you need to sort it out, not
I
the tech.
know, honestly, mobility wise, I was talking about my 300-pound bodybuilder, and I've actually specifically designed him a mobility and flexibility program alongside a vacuum training program that he must do every day. And I've got him to set alarms so he actually does it. Because with you, when you're a 300-pound bodybuilder, you have to eat a lot of food. You know, he's up to about 5,500 calories or something at this moment, which is not a lot at this point, but it's the very start of our
Not
push.
some of that body weight.
Well, yeah. But you have to be able to learn how to control your gut and your midsection whilst you are fed, as well as being fasted. Anybody can pull a vacuum fasted. It's really fucking easy. But try doing that with 3 meals in your belly as
I
well.
have,
It's
I can't.
hard. It's hard, so you've got to obviously practice it. Now, with a guy of this size, when we put him on stage, he's going to need to be able to learn how to control his vacuum when he is on stage. And he's going to have to eat on show day. Now, is he going to have big fucking meals of cream and
No.
rice and Rice Krispie square bars and blah, blah, blah? No, of course he's not. But I still want him to be able to learn how to control his core and control his vacuum on stage whilst he is fed. So we do that at the height of the off season. A last thing at night, just before he does his last meal, as an example. So he's got 5 meals inside him, and then he has to do crunched sat up vacuums. I'm like, it's gonna feel horrible, but you will be really fucking good at vacuums.
Also,
And you'll,
immediately go for a shit.
yes,
You
so
know,
that's obviously gonna help with
if you
digestion.
can't poo, vacuum.
Yes, if you can't poo,
Vacuum.
there's
You will
something
need a
wrong. You do have to poo. You have to poo every single day. So, people who say, oh, but it's my normal, I only poo every other day. Well, then something's fucking wrong with you. It's not
it's
normal.
it's always like it's never blokes because blokes shit all the time generally. It's
Yeah.
always girls who are like, I've not had a poo in 4 days.
Honestly, but you tell me, right, when they go to the doctors about this and they actually say, because this is what absolutely like makes my blood boil. And they're like, oh yeah, that's just your normal. It's like, no, tell that how is that fucking normal, right? Like, say you eat 4 meals a day. You eat 4 meals and you don't go for a shit the next day. Then you're going to eat another 4 meals. Now you've got 8 meals inside you that you basically haven't expelled. It's now going to sit there, it's going to ferment. Now you go to the third day and you still have not shit. Now we're up to 10 or 12 meals, which
Hang
is
on.
basically getting backed up and backed up and backed up.
Your example, 4 meals of I'm just a girl. That's incorrect. We're talking breakfast. Here's a coffee. That's it. Coffee,
Well,
potentially.
yeah, but maybe so.
the combo, the ultimate combo. Lunch is usually, I'm just feeling, I just want a Mackey's or a Greg's or something like that. This is people that just work in offices, something like that. And then they're like, oh, I feel really bloated. I feel really bloated all afternoon. So I had a more vape. So as you are. And then they get to dinner and they're like, not really that hungry. But then some nights it's like, I'm starving. And they'll
Well,
order.
yeah, because obviously that being the case.
Yeah, so
But I mean,
it's usually two
but I've
meals
had
down a
girls
couple of
come
the
to
kids.
me as well. I've had girls come to me off the back of prep, and they've sent me their meal plan that their last coach gave them to. I was like, you're not eating anything. I didn't have enough variety in my thing. I think that's what my problem is. I'm like, no, you're eating fish and fucking lettuce 4 times a day. That's not less variety. That's eating fucking nothing.
I mean,
You
anybody won't shit on that.
Well, exactly, but of course now, because they're obviously coming off the back of prep, they've got SIBO, they've got gut dysbiosis, they've got bacterial overgrowth, they've got so many different things, probably candida, they've got so many different infections.
Candida sounds like a martial art.
Candida. No, candida is a yeast infection. So when women get thrush, yeah, when women get
Oh
thrush,
my.
that's basically candida. But you can get that in your small intestine and in your bowel. And men can get candida as well. Not Campylobacter, H. pylori. That's making a huge round at the moment. I
H.
literally just had
pylori sounds like some kind of British explorer from the 1800s.
well, again, it's pretty nasty. H. pylori is terrible, and it can cause some horrendous, horrendous bloating elements.
Did they
But
discover
when
like some sort of colony in Africa somewhere as well?
yeah. But when people have this, they don't even know that they have it. They just think that they've eaten something a bit odd and that kind of stuff. But H. pylori, it's a quick fix. It's like 6 days worth of antibiotics. You just get it. And unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do in terms of H. pylori with like nutritional aids and supplementation because I fucking hate antibiotics. If we can get away without using them, then we're gonna do that. But unfortunately, with H. pylori, it's like, nah, just to get rid of it quick, just get the fucking antibiotics. We'll fix your gut afterwards.
Like
And that's
Julia.
yeah, just get rid of it because it's nasty. I'm conscious of the time because I've got another call in like 6 minutes, so we need to wrap things up.
All right,
Um,
cool.
but yeah, so what we started to talk about in terms of Christmas, we didn't end up talking about, but then again, we've got another week before we realistically need to kind of hit it, I suppose.
I guess so. But it's Christmas, isn't it? So just have 9 Toblerones, and you'll be fine.
And your chocolate buttons.
Don't talk about chocolate. I'm not
It's
crazy with them
about
at all, at all. Like not even a little bit. I'm like, cool, whatever.
really, I bought you chocolate buttons for
Not
Christmas.
yet.
Not yet. No. Well, that's fair enough. But anyway, as per usual, thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, all of that kind of crap. Put comments underneath, send us messages on anything else that you want us to check
Weird
out.
ones though. I'll block you.
Yeah, well, sometimes weird ones, right? Depends on how kind of weird though.
I get weird. You don't get my weird.
I get some weird. I just don't
You don't
answer the
get
weird.
my weird.
I don't get your weird.
You're not the right gender. Right.
Right. Anyway.
Okay. We'll see you next time. And like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed. Tell a friend. Why not? Let people know.
Tell your
All right.
friend.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.